morning class. So in our previous classes we have discussed so many things like the different fundamental life processes, and we have completed our nutrition. So nutrition was the first basic fundamental life process, because without intake of any food there will be no any further process that could be accomplished. So after the process of nutrition, when the food is burning and the energy that is being released is utilized, that process we call as respiration. So respiration is our next topic. In the previous classes we have discussed the respiration in plants, but let's give a brief introduction of what we have studied earlier. So basically the sum total of all the vital activities, that it is called as metabolism. Now metabolism is also another type of fundamental process. So vital activities that are being performed by due to the various physiochemical activities of a cell, they have mainly two aspects. Those aspects are the anabolism and catabolism. So what is anabolism? Anabolism includes metabolic processes by which cellular compounds are synthesized from the simpler compounds. That is, by mixing of two simple things, a complex thing is formed. For example, photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and carbon dioxide combines together to form a complex, that is glucose. In the same way, another is catabolism. Catabolism includes metabolic processes by which larger molecules are broken down into simpler molecules. So the respiration comes under the category catabolism, because in respiration the whatever the glucose that is being produced in the process of photosynthesis, it is being broken down and the energy released is used for various uh, day-to-day works, whether it is plant or animals. So now what is the definition of respiration? The process by which assimilated food is oxidized and energy is released is called as respiration. So in this process, oxygen from the air is taken in, and the oxygen reacts with the food molecules in the body cells and burn these food molecules slowly into simpler ones. So this energy is stored in the form of ATP molecules inside the cell for further use, and the waste products are being excreted out. So energy that is being released due to the combustion. Combustion is the process where the burning occurs of something in the presence of oxygen. But respiration is not only of one type, it is of two types when oxygen is involved, whereas when oxygen is not involved. So that we'll discuss later. So what happens? What is the main thing that is happening in respiration? The food that is being burned down in the presence of oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide, water, as well as energy. And this energy is in the form of ATP, and this is utilized in the process of our day-to-day activities. Now, the process by which organisms obtain energy from environment and release carbon dioxide produced during the oxidation of food to the outer environment is called breathing. So there is a difference between breathing and respiration. So what is that difference? The difference is that the breathing involves taking in of oxygen and releasing out of carbon dioxide. So it is a physical process. Basically, breathing is just a physical process. There is no chemical activities involved in this, but respiration is a biochemical process, because along with breathing it also involves the oxidation of food. So when oxidation is involving, then it becomes a chemical process. So it is not just a physical process like breathing. Respiration is a biochemical process. Now another difference is breathing involves lungs, so it is an system level process, while respiration requires organ system level as well as cellular level also. So this is a difference, that not only the lungs are involved in the process of respiration, but cellular level, that is inside cell also there are some activities happening, that is the oxidation. So it is a cellular as well as organ level system. Then the breathing itself do not release energy, while the respiration results in the release of energy, and this energy is stored in the form of ATP. So now what are the different types of respiration? Respiration is of basically two types, the external respiration as well as the internal respiration. Now what happens in external respiration? The exchange of gases between an organism and its environment. When the gaseous exchange is occurring between the organism and the environment, that is external. That is, we all know that we are living in an environment that is external to us. So this is between the body and the environment. Now what is internal? The internal respiration is the one that in which the gaseous exchange occurs between tissue cells and the extracellular environment. So this is happening inside the body, and no activity is occurring between body and the environment. So whatever thing is happening, respiration is happening inside the body, it is called as internal respiration. Now again, respiration is divided aerobic as well as anaerobic. So what happens in aerobic respiration? The oxidation of food takes place in the presence of molecular oxygen. So when oxygen is involved in the process of respiration, it is called aerobic. And when in anaerobic, the oxidation of food material does not require any molecular oxygen, and this occurs in the absence of any oxygen. So this is anaerobic. Now uh, this is, you can see, aerobic respiration and the anaerobic respiration. The aerobic respiration, this glucose in the presence of oxygen, this occurs in the cytoplasm, is converted to pyruvate, and then pyruvate in the presence of oxygen, this occurs in mitochondria, is converted into carbon dioxide and water, and the energy is released. Whereas in case of anaerobic, glucose is converted to pyruvate in the presence of oxygen, but now this is not occurring in the presence of oxygen. That's why the product has changed. Now in the absence of oxygen, lactic acid will be formed and energy will be released, but when the presence of oxygen is there, then carbon dioxide and water will be released. This is occurring inside the muscle cells, because in muscle cells there is no presence of oxygen. So this is the difference between the two. Now the respiration in plants is mainly divided into three types or three parts, that is cellular respiration. And cellular respiration occurs in by three different parts of the plant. So respiration in plants basically occurs by the leaf also, roots also, as well as from stem. So in plants, exchange of gases takes place from leaves, stems and roots. Individually, the transfer of respiratory gases from one part to the another is very less. Therefore, exchange of gases in plants usually occur by simple diffusion. What is diffusion? When something is moving, basically a gas or a liquid moves from a concentration of where they are present in higher amount to the concentration where it is less. This is called as diffusion. So whenever the gas is present in a higher amount in some place, it goes to the place where it is lesser amount. That is how the gases exchange is occurring in case of plants. So how does in roots the respiration occurs? In young roots, the epidermal cells are those cells which are covering the surface of the plant. So whatever cells that are present upper, like for example in animals or in human beings, the epidermal cells include the skin. So whatever epi means up. So whatever the layer is present above, that is called the epiderm. So in the case of young roots, the epidermal cells are extended to form root hairs, and these root hairs remain in direct contact with the air present in the soil particles. So in the if root is there, then the epidermis will be lower side, or when the root hair is starting, there will be the presence of epidermis. So there are some pores present, and inside the soil there is the presence of some amount of oxygen, dissolved oxygen, because we are watering the soil. So this soil is having some amount of oxygen. So by those pores, the those lenticels or pores, the pores present in the roots are called as lenticels, and they help in the gaseous exchange. That is, the soil containing the oxygen is being diffused to the plant, and that is how the process of respiration is occurring in case of roots. Now respiration in stem. In the herbaceous plant, are the plant that are very soft. So the stem have small opening in them, and this epidermal cell is called stomata. So the oxygen from air enters through stomata, and carbon dioxide is released from this. So that the stem is having some stomatas that through which the oxygen is being released out, because plant do not need oxygen. They need carbon dioxide for the process of photosynthesis. That's why the CO2 is taken in and the oxygen is released out. In the case of respiration in leaves, surface of the leaves possess many minute pores, and the stomata are present in stem as well and leaves also. But the amount of stomata in leaves is very much higher as compared to the stem, and mainly the stomatas are present on the lower surface of the leaf. Therefore, the gases exchange from the lower surface is very much higher as compared to the upper surface. This can be demonstrated with an experiment also, that is called when a lime water is changing into milky. Milky means it is getting very much white in color, that is the color of milk. So a lime water is Whenever we mix water with the lime, then we pass the we put the leaf that is in ongoing respiration, and we see that whenever the CO2 is mixed in that water, the lime water gets on turning milky. That is how we know that yes, the respiration is occurring, because CO2 is constantly being taken up and the oxygen is being released out. So whenever lime water is coming in contact with CO2, it is turning milky. That is how we can know that the that is something occurring, and that we call as respiration. Now this is the basic pathway of how in presence of oxygen and in absence of oxygen the different products are being formed. So I told you, in case of muscle cells, the lactic acid will be formed because there is no oxygen in them. When oxygen is present, the carbon dioxide and the water will be formed. And in case of yeast, there is also no oxygen, therefore the product will be ethanol and carbon dioxide, and the energy will be released. Now we'll talk about the respiration in humans. But before respiration in humans, we'll discuss respiration in case of simple or unicellular organisms. So for example, in unicellular organisms like amoeba, in also in some very much lower multicellular organisms, the sponges as well as cnidarians, respiration or gaseous exchange occurs through the general body surface. As these cells are direct contact with their aquatic environment, so the oxygen dissolved in water diffuses into the cell and brings about oxidation of food. So basically, they are just having some pores on their surfaces. So and they are present in the aquatic condition, that is the water condition. So the water is having dissolved oxygen in it. So this dissolved oxygen is being utilized by these pores present on the general body surfaces, and in this case, this is how the respiration is occurring in in lower multicellular organisms as well as in all the unicellular organisms. Now, respiration in humans. What are the different organs or the of the respiratory system? So the main are, so the always breathing or respiration starts with the nostrils. So there are external nostrils, that is the first part of respiratory system. It opens into the nasal cavity. This you can see, this is the nasal cavity. The nostrils are opening into nasal cavity, and it is meant for inhalation of air. Inhalation means when we take inside the air from the environment. Then comes the nasal cavity. This cavity is separated from the oral cavity by means of a hard and bony palate. It is lined by ciliated columnar epithelial and are rich in mucus. What is the role of this ciliated columnar epithelial cells? These are ciliated means the cilia are present. So these cilia are for preventing any dust particles to enter, and the mucus is for if somehow the particle enters into the nasal cavity, then it is being trapped and not going inside our body. So it brings about warming and moistening and sterilization of air. Sterilization means purification of the air. So it contains hair and mucus which entrap the dust particles. Next comes the internal nares. Nasal cavity opens into it and leads to the pharynx. Now comes the pharynx. It is a common part between the alimentary canal and the respiratory system. In the case of alimentary canal also, we studied about the pharynx, and it is a common part, that is a part of the digestive system also, as well as of the respiratory system also. Then after pharynx comes the larynx. What is larynx? It is an enlarged part of the trachea, which is also called as the voice box. It produces voice by passage of air between vocal cords. It contains four different types of cartilages, among them a C-shaped thyroid cartilage protruding out into the neck region is called as Adam's apple. This is the Adam's apple, the protruding part that you can see. In some human beings, it is very much highly visible, but not in all. But it is present in every human being. So that's why it is called as the Adam's apple, and it is a protruding part of the larynx, that is the voice box. From here the voice is generated. Then comes the trachea. It is also called a windpipe. Larynx is the voice box, and then trachea is the windpipe. It is about 10 to 12 centimeter in length. Its walls are supported by some tissues, and trachea is branched into then two bronchi. What are bronchi? These are basically two in number, the left and right, and each of this enters into lungs. These bronchi, this is the terminal bronchiole, and bronchiole are one unit of a bronchi. So these are two in number, and they are opening into the lungs. These are now the lungs. So these are two, the lungs are two lightweight spongy pouches covered by a membrane called pleura. The outer covering of the lungs is called pleura. So bronchi are further branched into several bronchioles at the ends of bronchioles, the alveolar sacs. These are the alveolar sacs that are the terminal end of the bronchiole that are present. And alveoli are present, which is rich in very much rich in blood capillaries, and these are thin walled. Now the diaphragm. It is a sheet of muscles that lies below the lungs. This is a diaphragm. It is lying below the lungs and separates thoracic cavity from abdominal cavity. So this is the abdominal cavity, the below one, and this is thoracic cavity. This is being divided with the help of a diaphragm. Now, what is the mechanism of breathing? We'll discuss that. Inhalation. The first and foremost thing is inhalation. Inhalation means taking in air. When the air is breathed in, the diaphragm and muscles attached to the ribs contract, and due to this contraction, there occurs expansion of chest cavity. We breathe in air, and this chest cavity then rises because the diaphragm goes a little upward. It results in the increase of volume. Then the volume of the chest will be increased, thus the air pressure will decrease, and air from outside rushes into the lungs, and alveolar sacs gets filled with air containing oxygen. This is the mechanism of inhalation, that the diaphragm goes upward, the area of the lungs get expanded, and which results in more amount of air to enter, which results in then air pressure decrease, and more amount of oxygen will be present now in the alveolar sacs. The oxygen present in the air diffuses into the blood, and carbon dioxide from blood diffuses into the alveolar sac. Now, whatever the carbon dioxide is present, that goes out because the pressure is decreasing. Therefore, oxygen is accumulating more and more oxygen will displace the carbon dioxide from the alveoli. Now, exchange between blood and tissues. How between blood and tissues the exchange occurs? The carbon dioxide is taken by blood, and oxygen diffuses into the tissues. Blood performs the purification as it takes carbon dioxide, then it purifies it, and the oxygen is transferred to the tissues for the working, because oxygen is required for our body for various functions. Now, exhalation. When the air is breathed out, the diaphragm and muscles attached to the ribs relax, and this brings about contraction in chest cavity. Its wall gets reduced, and the volume also decreases. Now, carbon dioxide is pushed out from the lungs into the air through trachea as well as nostrils. Now, when the exhalation occurs, then the volume decreases, and when the volume decreases, then the carbon dioxide again starts accumulating, and oxygen is being released out. Then we'll talk about the transpiration or transportation. Though transportation is of two types. We learn both in case of animals as well as plants. Before you're discussing any of those, let's discuss a brief what is transportation. So all the living bodies need nutrients and oxygen in every cell of its various tissues to sustain life. So we all know that we need nutrients and oxygen in every cell so that the life could be sustained. The transport of different material and gases is essential both in the case of plants and animals. Unicellular organisms, for example, amoeba and paramecium, do not require the transport of any material. These are in direct contact with their surroundings from where they obtain these nutrients. Therefore, the unicellular organisms, as they are in direct contact with the environment, they want whatever the nutrients they require. Then they do not need any storage of these things. But in case of multicellular organisms, the storage is required. So the exchange of gases from the external environment directly by the diffusion due to the concentration gradient is occurring in the unicellular organism. But in the case of human bodies or higher organisms, both plants and animals, the digested food, oxygen, hormones, and the waste nitrogenous substances are to be carried out from one place to another. So transportation of materials is essential. Then it is done through the circulatory system in case of animals. The circulatory system is also present in plants, but it is different because it does not involve any heart. Now, how the transportation in higher plants occurs. The higher plants have a specialized system for the transportation of materials inside the body. The transportation of material is carried out by means of vascular tissues of the plants. So what are the vascular tissues? The Vascular tissues are mainly the xylem and the phloem tissues. The vascular tissues act as pipes or vessels. Through these vessels or pipes, water, minerals, salts, and food, etc., are transported into the plant body. In plants, the medium of transportation is usually water. Water and food flows through the xylem. The xylem consists of various parts, that is the trachees and vessels, and these are helpful in the transportation purpose. And for food, the phloem is responsible, and phloem consists of sieve tubes and the companion cells. These help in the transport of food, and by these two things, the various metabolic activities are possible. The trachees and vessels are the non-living parts of xylem, while sieve tubes and companion cells form the living parts of the phloem. So the terrestrial plant absorbs water and minerals through their roots. The area of young roots where most of the absorption takes place is called root hair. Now the root hair are extended. These are the extensions of the epidermal cells. The epidermal cells are present, and then the root hairs are present. So epidermal cells extend into the ground, into the soil further, and these forms the root hairs. So root hairs are delicate and do not live more than 2 days. So the root hair have sticky walls which adhere means so that they can stick tightly to the soil particles, and the root hair absorb water from the soil by process of osmosis. But they take in mineral salts by the process of diffusion. So again, diffusion is the same thing. The higher concentration of nutrients is present in the soil, therefore it is getting diffused to the plant where the amount of concentration is less. So the water and mineral salts are transported from the roots, then to the leaves, flowers, and other parts of the plant. The upward movement of cell sap through the xylem is called ascent of sap. So ascent of sap is the upward movement of cell sap. Now what is cell sap? The water and mineral combine together and they form the cell sap. And these are moving through the xylem, and this process or this property is called as ascent of sap. The transportation in human beings we'll discuss in the next class.